Our foreign ministers of the European Union have convened in Kyiv amid growing concerns within the bloc and in Washington, D.C. over ongoing support for war-torn Ukraine. It's the first time the EU's top diplomats are holding discussions outside EU borders. And with Ukraine set to face its second winter at war with Russia, the bloc is putting unity above any niggling doubts about their support.
It's right to say that Europe pay her part, but we should be ready to do even more.
Of course, we want to achieve peace, but it's impossible to achieve peace without justice. Justice, freedom, and independence of Ukraine.
Many messages that have been sent from Brussels, from Washington, from elsewhere, have a power to instill doubt whether we are serious. And I hope that today's meeting can fix this doubt and can send a very clear, crystal clear message that Europe is with Ukraine until its victory.
From on this, Megumi Lim joins us live from Kyiv. Megumi, what's the significance of these foreign ministers actually holding their meeting in Ukraine's capital? Have you heard any major announcements so far?
Well, as you said, this meeting is historic. It is the first time the EU is holding the foreign ministers' meeting outside its borders. It is a major show of the bloc support, ongoing support for Ukraine, and it is a strong signal to Russia that there is continued support for Kyiv. Now, the EU's top diplomat, Josep Borrell, said that the meetings will be informal and it will be an opportunity for foreign ministers and representatives from all 27 member states to discuss ways in which the West can continue supporting Ukraine. But for Ukraine, one of the most important aspects of the meetings will be discussing the process of joining the EU in the future. Now, the EU last year gave Ukraine candidate status, but this coming December is expected to decide whether Kyiv can open negotiations, which is the next part of the process. And this process will require the backing of all 27 member countries. So the fact that foreign ministers and representatives of all 27 member countries are present in Kyiv today is significant. It is important for Ukraine and for Ukrainian officials to have the opportunity to personally discuss the process and also to potentially iron out any concerns or issues that some EU countries may have. Now, another thing that will be on the table will be President Zelensky's 10-point peace formula. Now, this peace formula has been discussed twice before in the past year by national security representatives, but it has never been discussed at this level in this kind of setting. Another thing that will be discussed will be the European Peace Facility. This is a pot of money that basically will go to weapons contributions to Ukraine. And this scheme was set up basically in March, and it aims to deliver artillery shells and missiles to Ukraine within the year. So there is a lot that is being discussed during these meetings. So it is very important, and it is a historic meeting that is going on today in Ukraine.
This is a historic event because for the first time ever, Foreign Affairs Council is going to sit down outside of its current borders, of the borders of the European Union, but within future borders of the European Union. And this is a message in itself, a message of support, unflattered support that the European Union is extending to Ukraine, which we are very much grateful for.
Megumi, clearly continued support or backing is very important to Ukraine. And you've got a pro-Russian candidate winning Slovakia's election over the weekend. And that, of course, given that this is in the spotlight, raising concerns about continued EU unity to back Ukraine through this war. Are we likely to see divisions in the bloc because of this election win?
Well, that's right. As you said, Slovakia just elected a pro-Russian political party led by a populist figure, Robert Fico, and it looks like Slovakia may be joining Hungary in challenging ongoing continued military aid for Ukraine. If you remember, the Hungarian Prime Minister last week made some controversial comments in terms of Ukraine's accession to the EU. He said that because the country is at war, it is unclear how big the territory of Ukraine is. And Robert Fico, who was just elected in this parliamentary elections, has vowed to cut military aid to Ukraine. And this is unfortunate because Slovakia has been one of the staunchest supporters of Ukraine in terms of military aid. It ranked the top 5 European donors in terms of GDP. And it was actually one of the first to send the S-300 air defense system to Ukraine. So we are indeed seeing cracks. But again, the fact that cracks in terms of support from EU countries, but the fact that we are seeing these foreign ministers and representatives from all 27 EU member countries here in Ukraine today discussing ongoing military aid for Kyiv is a hopeful sign for Ukraine.
Our thanks to Megumi Lim reporting live from Kyiv.